Freedom Property Investors was not meant to be a business. It became one, and it became more. It's not a business today. Like, it's our passion. It's the way we connect with people. It's what gives us a sense of purpose. It's what gives us a challenge every day, something to wake up to and challenge. It's the way that we give back and contribute. It's the way we find fulfillment. So it's much more than a business. But as we started growing, then we started running into problems. Like, our members were coming back to us. Our accountant doesn't know this. Our accountant doesn't know that. Our accountant screwed that. Or we'd look at the numbers from our members and say, well, man, you have not claimed this correctly. This is not structured correctly. So we knew that we had to help them. Now, Liana and I are not licensed tax people. Even though we're probably the best people to give the advice, we're not licensed to do it. So we got caught in this thing where, geez, like, we need to tell this person what to do, but we're not allowed legally under Australian law. So then if we referred them to another accountant, that accountant may give the wrong advice. So we decided, well, we'll build our own.
Yeah, and that makes absolute sense. I mean, like, you've actually got the skills, you've got the right people on board, and leveraging off, you know, what you guys already have. That community is seeking for you because you guys are the ones who have actually shown that things work, and you've been able to build a portfolio. So that's really amazing to be able to hear about that. Well, Scott, what I'd like to do is let's just get to know a little bit about, you know, I've heard a lot about your company. It's fantastic to be able to hear about that. But I guess we want to know a little bit more about you. Firstly, let's jump back and talk a little bit about, firstly, where did you grow up, and share, you know, your childhood with us.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. Look, you know, I think the age from 0 to 7, it really shapes, it really forms you. Like, my childhood really formed me. I was born in a little town of about 8,000 people in New Zealand, and mum and dad left that town when I was around 6 or 7, came over to Australia. And I grew up in the housing commission area of Liverpool, a little suburb called Miller, if anyone knows Miller. And I went to Miller High School. And, you know, growing up there was a really great childhood. I had a lot of fun. There were certainly a lot of challenges. But growing up, you know, there was always a lot of arguments or a lot of fear around money. And I remember being a little kid, and I remember being scared. I actually remember being scared that, will we have food? Will we have somewhere to live? And like, that's how I grew up. And like, that was a real thing because mum and dad always talking about money. And so like, I became pretty obsessed with money. And, you know, what I would do is I would always ask my mom, can I do jobs here and there to get money, to get 20 cents, 50 cents, $1. You know, I'd go around the house, I'd you know, be doing job, I'd be vacuuming, I'd find money down the side of the couch. I go, yep, that's mine. I won't report that in. I'll grab that. And I collect all the money that I can, and I'd put that money into a money jar. And I'd put that money jar under my bed. I never spent it. I never really did anything with it. Occasionally I'd grab it and maybe go buy some hot chips and sauce or something down at the takeaway. But I'd put that under the bed, and it made me feel safe knowing that money was there. And so like, my obsession with money started really, really early. I grew up, I went to high school. I did a paper run. I love that paper run. You know, I love just collecting that money, getting that money, all the coins. And when I got a note, it was like, wow, this is a note. Awesome. Put that in my money jar again. Never really spent it. And so that's how I grew up. I grew up knowing that if I had money meant that I had safety. Money meant that I had options. Money meant that I could get what I want. If I wanted something, I want that ice cream, I can get it.
Yep.
I don't have to ask anyone, like, Dad, can I have that? No, I don't have to. I can just get whatever I want, when I want, how I wanted it. I felt safe. So I loved money. I absolutely loved it. You know, and, you know, if I wanted to buy a new record, like, this is how old I am, like an old vinyl record, you know, I could go out and I could buy it. So I love money. And then when I got a bit older, I actually had my daughter when I was 19, and by 25, I had 4 kids.
Wow.
So it was a dream of mine always to have a big family. And then so suddenly I was thrust into this role as a provider. So to take care of my 4 kids, you know, my wife at the time didn't work. So I had to figure out how to be really, really, really good with money. Thankfully, I was good at money. And I wasn't really the smartest person, but I was really hungry to grow, and I was really hungry to earn money, and I was really hungry to get promotions at work. And because of that, and because of really great mentors, I was so fortunate to run into people that just wanted to help me. So because of my hunger and because of great mentors, I was able to have a really good corporate career. So I was able to earn, good money. I had a 10-year career at Telstra. Got many promotions there. I was a very senior manager at Samsung for 3 years. I was a very senior manager for Electronic Arts, a gaming company that was a global position. And then I went and did 3 years at NRMA. So really, really good corporate roles. And I learned a lot about analysis and data and spreadsheets and, decision making and negotiating skills. And those skills really help and serve our community today, because I do head up most of the negotiating on the property deals. Although I'm not a data scientist and an actuary, I really resonate with Liana because I do understand numbers. I'm very good with data and analytics myself. So that's really how my childhood shaped me.
On the flip side, you would have had some amazing sort of great positive outcomes, especially where you're at now. But was there a period in time where you just had everything just like went clicking and go, oh, this is my aha moment?
Aha moment. Yeah, well, I think the aha moment was when I took the massive action. Like when I did my first few properties, and the big aha moment for me, because my big worry was well, I've got all this debt. So who's going to pay it? And then when I got my first property and I had the rent come in, and I got the rental statement for the first property, and I'm looking at it and I went, hey, well, that's real money. And then, you log into the bank account and you see it, you go, whoa, there's money there. So I went, oh, hold on, this actually works. So that was like a big aha moment for me. And then the other big aha moment was like when I did my first tax return.
Oh.
I did my first tax return, and I'm sitting down, I'm learning about things like depreciation and all of this. And I'm sitting there. And then I get my first tax return and I go, damn, that's a big chunk of money back. Damn. And I'm like, so those are two big things. And then when I started getting like revaluations on property, and then I'd revalue that, that one, oh, that's increased, 3 months. Oh, went up $30,000. I went, wow. And then, a year later, oh, that's gone up 80 grand. Oh, wow, this is great. So I think when the theory became real, that started, and then I was like, damn, this works. So then that's when I'm like overseas canceling. I've got to do this deal. That's when I'm running around begging banks, please give me a loan. No, not giving you a loan. So,
you took whatever you did whatever it took to be able to get those deals. And now, obviously where they are now has actually helped you build that portfolio, because it's compounded time. 10 years is quite a good solid amount of time. That's at least one close to 2 property cycles, actually, when you think about it. So you've seen so many great gains from it.
Yeah. Time's really important. So, but time goes really, really quick. You'd be surprised how even now some of these experiences I'm just being reminded of them now. And you think back the things that you did, and you're grateful that you took action.
Let's talk about your strategy. It sounded like when you first purchased those properties, it was like a buy and hold, and then you pull your equity out and you leapfrog into the next one, and you keep doing that. What's been your overall strategy since then? Because to build it up to close to 20 properties, it's not just something you just go and buy and hold and you do it over the next 10 years or something like that easily. You have to actually have some kind of specific plan to be able to achieve that.
Yeah, well, my strategy is just to get number one, an undervalued location, and then get an undervalued property. Because a lot of people talk about, all right, to fast track your gains, they talk about manufacturing equity. So what that means is you get a property, you make some adds to it, some changes to it, you add a granny flat, or you add a second story, or you renovate it or something like that, you revalue it, and then the price becomes higher. Now, I didn't have the time to do that. I didn't have the expertise to do that. That took more cash. And I'd run all the numbers on it. And I said, all right, if I get one property and put more money in it and make some changes and maybe, possibly maybe get a higher revalue on it, and I put all that time into it, which I didn't even have, so I couldn't even do it. I thought, I don't really like that. But when I looked at the strategy of get an undervalued suburb and an undervalued property in an undervalued suburb, then that suburb over the, if you look at the trend line of growth, what I'd also found through Liana's research is that most of the growth for a suburb, 70% of the growth for a suburb came in 30% of the time. So she'd run all these numbers and she'd worked out based on a number of like really complicated factors, how you could pick an area that the long-term would have that long-term growth trend, but had the bulk or, the bulk of that growth would be within the first 1, 2, or 3 years of me owning that property. So what we were trying to do was to position in a property in an undervalued suburb, in an undervalued property in an area that we felt was going to have more immediate growth, not growth out into the future. So we did that. And so that's still our base strategy today. And then I was able to create equity that way, not through the manufacturing. I'm not talking hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, but I'm talking, maybe you can make a $30,000 equity there, get a tax refund of $9,000 there, another $12,000 of savings. All right, there's deposit for property number 2. So if you can keep repeating that, you can move. Now, when you get your first 1 or 2 or 3 properties, it's pretty slow. But when you've got, say, 3 or 4 or 5 properties and they're kind of growing, like the equity or the growth across the 4, 5, the tax deductions across the 4, 5. So it becomes exponential. So, 1 becomes 2, very slow. 2 becomes 3, quite slow. But 3 can become 5 a bit faster, and 5 can become 9 a little bit faster. So that was my base strategy. The other strategy for me was to always keep the cash flow positive. So as much as possible. I mean, sometimes there were deals, but if we can do deals where you look at the property and you go, that's not cash flow positive with the asking price today. But if we can get the asking price lower, then we can turn a non-cash flow positive property into a cash flow positive property. Not through a renovation, not through anything like that, but through using my mouth. Using my mouth. So, we use a bit of data to find, all right, where are the areas where we could sort of strike a deal like that, and then just, use the mouth, like a half-hour conversation to do the deal, not 10 weekends of slavery doing the renovation. So that's pretty much been my strategy. Now, this will not turn you into a multi-millionaire in the next 5 years. But a strategy like this, if you're looking at market averages and things like that, you're probably an average income earner could, if you get at least, a market growth rate of say 7.5%, if you're able to create equity along the way, then you may be able to create something like 1.5 million, 2 million, 2.5 million over like at least a 10-year period. If you wanted to create more than that, you need to give it more years. So if you want 3 million, 4 million, 5 million, well, you probably need a 15-year investment window, or you've got to have a higher or above average salary or income so that you can borrow more and put more assets into your portfolio earlier on. But typically, like what I see, because right now I'm seeing like over 200 people every single month join our community. Me and Liana are right in there. We help them out with their strategies. And typically, I think a great outcome would be 1.5 million to 2 million over a 10-year investment window minimum. And I would say to anyone that thinks that doing better than that through any strategy, renovating, doing whatever, anyone that thinks they can go from like a normal income and a normal amount of savings, I'm talking 50 to 100 grand. Anyone that thinks that they can do probably better than that as an investor, you really can't. Now, there's another way to be in property. The other way to be in property is to have property as a business. So like I would say someone that's buying property, renovating it and selling it, that's a business.
Yes.
Or I would say someone that's doing developments, mini developments or larger developments, medium-sized developments, that's a business. So it is possible to make more money than what I've just said as a business. But if you're what I call an ordinary investor, and so I'm talking about someone on ordinary income, ordinary employee, ordinary savings, than, you know, targeting something like a couple of $1 million in 10 to 15 years. And if you can actually achieve that, that is a massive, massive, because if you set up to achieve 2 million in 10 years, well, that could be 4 million, 6 million in 20 or 25 years. And if you're getting started in this journey at around 40, then by 60, you can be a multi-millionaire.
I've got a few more things I wanted to just touch on as well too. You mentioned mentors. Liana has obviously been extremely, extremely important and key, crucial for you to support you. Have you also sought any other mentors, or did you have any other mentors you could share along the way? And what's been their impact on your whole journey as well?
Yeah, I think a real big mentor for me has been Tony Robbins. And if you don't know Tony Robbins, he's not particularly a property person, but he's definitely like a mindset person. That someone that just helps you to stay positive, you know, because you know, like property investing is, it's going to bring in a lot of emotions that are going to come to play. And I feel that if you can master your emotions, you're going to make wiser, better decisions. And then you actually can transform yourself into an action taker. So like I really look up to Tony. I've done a lot of his programs and courses. I watch him a lot on YouTube. And so like I'm really inspired. I'm really inspired by Tony. And then, you know, Liana's been like a really good dear friend. I mean, she's got a unique skill with the data. I mean, that's a real tangible thing. And then just as a friend, for someone to give you, you know, reassurance, sometimes you need that. So, you know, definitely like she's been, you know, those have been the two big people that have really helped transform my life, like in terms of my property
That's
journey.
amazing. And also too, talking about, I guess, resources along the way, you've said you've pretty much attended all those courses, you've learned so much. At this point in time, do you have anything that you think you could share with the audience that is a fantastic resource that you have actually thought that, you know, has impacted you, has been able to help you along your journey too?
Yeah, well, what I've done, like together with Liana, we thought, look, what can we do? I mean, because we don't sell courses and things like that, but obviously people want some information, some education. So we put together a really powerful 2-hour live event. So we run this event, you know, a couple of times during the month, and it's a 2-hour live event. And what we actually do is we step people through our exact strategy. Now, there are many strategies in property. And you know, all of them do work to varying levels, but you've got to find the right strategy for you. So at our 2-hour live event, we actually break down step by step our exact strategy, what we do. And again, our strategy is more for a time poor, ordinary investor that's aiming, you know, to reach financial freedom, like in a realistic window.
And also too, what do you think's been the best advice you've received?
Oh, wow. Geez, that's a tough one. That's a really, really tough one. Best advice that I have received. Well, probably Liana. Look, if I can be honest, like Liana basically bullied me to get my first property. She was like, "You are a moron if you don't buy this property." I'm like, "Really?" So, like, I think it was her bullying me to do my first one, because if I hadn't done that first one, I wouldn't be where I am today. So, you know, those first few steps, they're the most fearful, they're the most gut wrenching, but you know, they're the best ones. They're the best ones. So, I'll hand that one to Liana.
Great to hear. Now let's take a step back. If you met yourself, say 10 years ago, which we've kind of had this little conversation already, what do you think you would have said to him?
Well, you know, 10 years ago, I was stressed out. I was worried. I was fearful. I was anxious. I was worried about the future. I would have said, Scott, look, enjoy everything that you've got now. Be grateful for what you have and really enjoy it. It's going to be okay. And you're doing great. You're doing really, really great. Everything's going to be okay. Enjoy your kids. Enjoy the ages that they are. Even enjoy your job that you hate so much. Even find things there to enjoy it. Like I would say, like literally enjoy it, because I was so worried about the future and time and succeeding and getting more money that I put a lot of energy into that worry, and it just took some of the shine out of life. Like I really enjoyed all those times, but you know, just took some of the shine off it because of this worry. And I would say, have more courage, take more action, and just take more action, because I was so like, not making a mistake was more important to me than having success, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I would rather go through, at that point, I would rather not achieve much, but not make a mistake, than make a mistake, but have success. So I really changed my target. My target moved subconsciously. I didn't realize this was going on. Subconsciously, I moved from waking up every day saying, Scott, don't make a mistake, don't make a mistake, don't make a mistake. I moved from that to, Scott, get what you want, have success, move forward, take action. So it's that shift in the mindset that I'd encourage myself or coach myself to do. My life now is more about building a legacy, like for my family, and then it's more about building a legacy for all of the members and all that kind of thing. The purpose of my life was make my family safe. So like that was the ultimate guiding mission programmed into my head, and like I achieved that. And I kind of thought, well, what's my life going to be about now? And now my life is about helping other people, other providers, other people with families that might be struggling. It's about trying to help them. And then it's also about like all the great people that work like in the Freedom like group of companies as well, helping them to grow and expand. And so like, that's where I get a lot of my joy and fulfillment now, is just helping people to grow, helping people to expand, whether it's expanding professionally as when they work with us, or whether it's them, growing and expanding their property, their wealth, their futures. Because Tyrone, like you and I will know, 80% of people are going to wind up on a pension. And even if these people get one property, and not even a very good one, but hold it for 20 years, they'll probably avoid that. So, and if they can get 2 or 3 in a really great location, they can have a really, really good life.
So last question I have for you, Scott, is, I always ask this question to all my guests, is how much of your success is due to your hard work, intelligence, and skill, or how much of it is based on luck?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I would say 100% would be just down to me. So, I feel whatever the answer is, I think that you should decide that the answer is 100% of your life is up to you, and live your life that way. I mean, that's something I learned from my mentor, Tony Robbins. Like, take 100% full responsibility for everything in your life, and take 100% responsibility for everyone else in your life and every event in your life. So, I was very fortunate because, when I began my journey, it was right before the 2012, 2013, like there was a massive property boom. So that absolutely gave me a really great opportunity to grow through equity and to be able to get the number of properties that I was getting. So like that was a great opportunity that was there. But if I hadn't have done all the work and everything like that, well, then I wouldn't have been positioned for that. And people are sitting right now, like as we record this, people are sitting right now in the middle of another boom. So like, we're predicting a very strong price growth boom over the next 2 to 3 years. And we predict that the next 10 years will be really, really great for Australian property. So people have another opportunity. So, the people that invest now, is it down to them or is it down to luck? Like, so I would say it would be down to them.
That's right. And that's the thing. There is a property cycle. If we look back at history, every 7 to 10 years, there's always going to be a up and down the cycle. And if you time it, you can't always be perfect, but if you understand the metrics and also how the property market works and get the right advice and follow the people who are actually successful, you just got to wait it out, and you'll be successful just by basically holding on to the right properties as well. So that's amazing to be able to hear that exactly spot on. All right. Well, Scott, it's been a pleasure to be able to have you on the podcast. If people want to connect with you, find out more about what you're doing, what's the best way they can reach out to you?
Oh, look, they can find me on Facebook under Scott Carew, LinkedIn, Scott Carew, or they can go to the Freedom Property Investors website.
Amazing. Well, Scott, I really, really enjoyed your story. I wish I had more time to be able to capture a lot more of that as well too. probably bring you back on another episode as well to share that and see how things are going. But really, thank you again, once again, for your time.
Love it, Tyrone. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Thank you.